What's up, friends? Turn these things off. I just got done doing a training and I wanted to pop on and say hi. And actually, I have something to talk about. Hold on, let me get rid of this stuff out of my desk. I'll shut my hands. If you are popping on, say what's up. Let me know that you're here. Look at my fun shirt today. Be kind. The profits from this shirt went to save the bees, in case you were wondering. It was not a plug. That was just a fact. I hope you guys are all having a good day today and enjoying wherever you are. So I wanted to share something about this cool and interesting little moment that I had the other day. And so for those of you who've been following along for a long time, like I've always been super open here and share a lot in our space together online and in my blogs and all that shit. And probably more than, a lot of other people would be comfortable with doing. But that's just been like my commitment, right? That's been my jam and what I've been doing. And so I'm trying to get this fucking thing to sit right for forever. And what I realized is that there was a huge point when I first started really making money online. It came from me sharing my life, right? For me, like honestly, that was it. For me sharing, hi, I live this way. Like I've created this world that I get to do life this way. And that really included me traveling all over the country and going to conferences and, just taking vacations by myself and working from the beach in Hawaii and like doing these things, right? Like that was a huge piece of my business a couple of years ago, especially because I would just share with you what I was doing and show you like, this is possible, right? I went from working 70 hours a week, 4 jobs for other people to having this other experience. And so like living proof of design the life that you want or live life on your terms for sure. But I kind of quit talking about that with you guys over the past year or so for a few reasons. My life went really strange, right? Like it took a big fat turn, a hard left to Iowa we went, and then a hard left or right back to St. Louis or to Missouri. So in that time frame, I've gone down deep into a lot of personal shit and it's been amazing. But like I realized that I kind of stopped sharing with you guys the life that I have to an extent, behind the scenes. And I was talking so I have like a team of humans that I speak with regularly about my life and business that help me keep shit on track. And one of them is my therapist, Amber, and she's freaking awesome. So her and I were talking and I go, you know what I did last Wednesday? So heads up, I started taking Wednesdays off several months ago, like the entire day unplugged, like no work, no answering messages, no social media, nothing on Wednesdays, which has been uncomfortable. And like, that's a conversation in itself that I would love to just go deeper into to share with you guys, like how crazy that experience was to get used to, which is bizarre when you think about it. But if you guys are commenting, I can't see it, just so you know. And so when I started to realize like the whole purpose of me taking those unplugged days was so that I could start having fun. Like when my doctor asked me like, what do you do for fun? And I had no answer other than work, because I do like my work and my work is really fun for me. It's super rewarding. But when I didn't know what else to say, I was like, oh fuck. Like I started thinking about things that I would do for fun. Like I was thinking back years of like 4-wheeling with my friends and like fishing and like doing things I hadn't done in years. And over here going, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. And I do like traveling and I do like my work, like, but it's all part of my job, right? And so I started making more space for me to do whatever the fuck it is that I want to do and not be work related, not taking pictures, not writing content, not recording little videos to share with you later, like just for me. Talk about, boom, like mind blown, right? Again, that's like an hour-long conversation. So we're not going to have the whole thing here, but I'm giving you like the Cliff Notes version. So flash forward to one of my Wednesdays off. I had a hair appointment and I drove past the Home Depot. If you guys haven't seen the video of the little girl talking about Home Depot, you need to look it up. It's fucking hilarious. But anyways, I drove past Home Depot and I thought, oh my God, I got to buy a plant for my friend Sam. I got to do this, whatever. I need to go to Costco. Like I had this plan in my head, right? And believe it or not, going to Costco brings me joy. Going to Home Depot and shopping for plants brings me joy. So that was me doing things on that day that makes me happy. So as I'm in the Home Depot buying 3 more plants than I anticipated that were not going to Sam's house, they were coming to my house to stay. I caught myself internally say, "Oh my God, don't tell anybody that you just bought these plants. They're gonna think you're fucking crazy." And half joking, but let's be real, those conversations we have in our head aren't necessarily joking. And I realized, and I asked myself, like, well, why would it matter? Well, because I have a lot of plants in my house. Who cares? Because I spent $50 at Home Depot on a Wednesday afternoon. Like, who fucking cares? And so then I came home and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like one of those beautiful Missouri days that it wasn't super hot. Like after you reached that like midday part, it went away and it was like really nice outside. So I wound up sitting right outside on my patio for like 4 hours with my phone in the house in complete silence, repotting plants. So sitting on the ground, dirt all over me, hands in the buckets, repotting things into their new little homes because a lot of my stuff is like flourishing and so they needed new homes and so they needed to be put in new pots. So I spent 3 to 4 hours roughly sitting out there planting in my own head, like literally having the time of my life. And I didn't want to tell anybody about it. Now, here's the thing. I do believe that we all need our things that we keep to ourselves. That's not what I mean here. But like there was some sort of shame and some sort of fear around the fact that I had spent the day at Home Depot buying more plants when I don't necessarily need more plants. And then I'd spent the entire afternoon sitting on the ground planting plants, right? Here's the fact, okay? The fact is all of my clients are taken care of. I have money in my bank account. My business is thriving. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong at all with me taking the entire day off on Wednesday to do whatever the fuck I want, okay? Nothing wrong. But for some reason, I didn't want to tell you guys about it. I didn't want to talk about it. When I dove deeper into it, obviously, while in this conversation with Amber, I realized that it's still a deeply rooted thing that I think most Americans, especially middle class, when you're raised in middle class, is that you have to work really fucking hard. If you don't work really fucking hard, then you're doing something wrong, right? You don't get success. It's not okay. And so for me to take all this time, and realistically, that's another thing I'm going to talk more about, but the way that my schedule is these days, like, it's pretty amazing, but I don't work many hours, like, at all. Like, it would be shocking, considering those of you who know me for a really long time, that you know how many hours I used to work, which I did to set this up, but I did it on purpose to create this fucking life, right? So why not talk about it? Well, it had become this fear thing for 2 reasons that I identified. One was that it must mean that I don't want more. Because if I wanted more than I have now, then I would not be taking this time off, which is so twisted and fucking backwards, because you need replenishment in order to reach new levels. Like they work hand in hand. A lot of our self-sabotage and our staying stuck comes from the fact that we're not fulfilling and nourishing ourselves. Hardcore, like big truth there. And then the other thing that I realized was, well, what's everybody going to say when they know how much free time I have now and I'm not spending it with anyone but myself? So first of all, what? Like, who cares what other people say about how you're spending your free time? You're a crazy person? That's what I'm telling myself, right? But it was a real thing. And it comes from me previously putting myself in the position of being obligated to help every single person in my entire personal life here in Missouri specifically. That was the position that I played. I put myself there, right? And so to tell people that I have an entire day on Wednesdays and blah, 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 doing things. And now granted, I do use my Wednesdays to see my friends that work from home and stuff occasionally and things like that. But again, I'm using my Wednesdays to do whatever I want. My other days of the week that I have lots of open time, like, again, doing whatever I want. But I felt guilty or like shameful that I wasn't spending all of this free time like at my mom's house or something, And it was just like, I didn't even realize that was what was happening. And so it was really interesting. And the reason I wanted to share it with you is because a lot of the things that we're programmed to believe to be true, or programmed that because we see it, right? We see it in our families. We see it in our community. And that's all we see. And there's nothing wrong with it at all. So please know I'm not saying there's anything wrong. It's definitely, there's nothing wrong with going to work, coming home, you know, and that being your jam, living for the weekend. Like, there's nothing wrong if that's your, like, at all. But that's all I knew existed. And so as I had created things differently and my life was different, like a couple years ago, like I said, when I was showing you and I'm traveling all over doing my thing, I was still working so fucking much that it was okay. It was okay for me to tell you I'm in Hawaii sitting on the beach all day today working, or I'm in Utah, or I'm in Arizona, or I'm wherever, you know, in the mountains in Tennessee. It was acceptable to me. I justified it to me, like little girl Jamie saying, I'm allowed to do this because I'm working really fucking hard. I'm working so many hours that it's okay that I'm doing these other things. Which, like, again, is a very deeply rooted thing in most of us that I don't think a lot of us understand is a deal, is a thing. And so I wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to say another thing that I'm working on really, truly accepting. So, like, I hope that this comes out properly and that you guys understand where I'm coming from. I really think that someone somewhere needs to hear this. So first of all, Tyson, thank you for saying that, babe. I appreciate you. I know you get it. Yeah, Brittany, I get you, girl. I love being with me, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But when I want to go be with people, I go be with people. Who is it? First, I want to tell you that there's something wrong with that. There's not. So anyway, here's the thing that I'm going to say that for some reason I always feel like sounds really fucking rude, and I never have wanted to say it out loud, but it's been said to me in several occasions here recently that I've been seeing as a very important thing to really digest and really own. And it's when you worked or when you decided to create a life that is outside of what anyone around you knows, or you've created a way of living and a way of existing and a way of thriving that is not fit inside of any box. It does not fit any social norm. It does not fit any societal norms. It's a weird thing because while that's the dream and everybody wants that, you get a lot of, they say they want it, right? Most people, I want that, whatever. You get a lot of lashback. You get a lot of judgment. You get a lot of, well, who the fuck do you think you are? Right? Well, that's not the reality for most people. You must have this other situation, you know, and insert all the people in St. Louis who think that Tony funds my life, which is hilarious. I'm like, y'all don't know shit about shit if that's what you think is happening. Anyways, but so I think that it's important that if you have decided to live your life differently, it's okay for you to talk about it. And it's okay for you. You're not being boastful to say, I work maybe 15 hours a week. That's not boastful. It's a fucking choice that you make, right? And that's something that I worked very specifically to create a foundation that has allowed me the capability to do that. That's that. Like, that's what I do every day with people. People who've worked with me personally know that. Like, this isn't a secret. Like, this is what I do. I create all the systems and all the structure and all the foundation to where you can have weeks that you work 60 hours if that's what you feel like doing, or that's what's necessary. But then you have more often than not, you have days where you're working 3 hours, 4 hours maybe. You know what I mean? And so removing a lot of those structures that are not structures, but those like boundaries or walls that the world has put on us of what work is supposed to look like and what life is supposed to look like and what money is supposed to look like, what success means, like all of that stuff for me. You know what fucking success means to me these days? What I'm doing, like what I'm doing 100%. And I don't really care what anyone else's fucking definition of it is, you know? And so, but I wanted to share this with you because it was a funny moment where I was like, oh my God, why would you not want to tell people that you spent the entire day planting plants on your day off? But also, like, I do stuff like that on a Tuesday sometimes because that's what I feel like doing and my other stuff is done. So sure, I could create more. Sure, I could, you know, do some live streams or record some trainings or whatever, but sometimes I don't fucking want to. So when I used to force myself, I don't anymore. So I think there's a million nuggets through this entire conversation that you guys could each person's going to pull something different from. But I just really wanted to share that with you and let you know that realistically, I had turned off showing you the way of my life because, yes, Kyle, agreed. Okay, so doing the work, people take off context and they're like, oh, that must mean I'm working 24/7 all the time, like I'm stressed out. Like, no, you have to be intentional and create a place and do work, yes, to create a space to where you can take vacations all the time or you can take the day off or whatever, and everything doesn't fall to shit. But I agree with you in the fact that it's hard to share things sometimes because of this fear inside of us. But fuck that fear, right? Like, you worked for this. Like, you have built a space and a life, Kyle, that allows you and your family to do what you do. You know, and so I know that feeling of being like, oh my God, like I can't tell people that I took the day off. Like, why? But it's real. And so that's why I wanted to tell you is that I associated that it was okay for me to show you all the trips I was taking, all of the cool things I was doing and buying. It was okay for me to show that to you at one point in our relationship on the internet here because I was working really, really fucking hard. I was working all the hours, right? And like fingers to the bone, so tired at night I can't sleep, or I'm like falling asleep talking to Tony, like because I was doing what I thought to be enough. Well, let's be real, I never actually thought it was enough. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. Whew. But what I was doing so much that it justified and it was okay that I was showing you this really cool life that I was leading. And so as I started doing less, and by the way, still making the same amount of money, actually a little bit more, I didn't show it to you anymore because it didn't match the mirror, like the image that we all see or the image that I thought I needed to show you. And so it was a really cool realization and it shifted a lot in my head. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but something changed in me a couple weeks ago in the way I'm speaking again and the way I'm showing up again and the way I feel. And so fuck anybody who makes you feel wrong for taking your space, taking your time, doing what you need to do and taking care of you. Like, screw anybody, honestly. Like, I just need to tell you that. And it's not easy because when you create a new lifestyle and you create boundaries specifically that people are not used to, they aren't nice. And you fall into situations where you're like, okay, what do I do with this? But remind yourself, it's my life, not theirs. And it doesn't mean you're mean. Never does it mean that you're a jerk. Ever. Like, I'm never a jerk about it. It's just that I've accepted this as my reality and not everyone's going to be okay with it. And that's not my problem. Because guess what? If they wanted this reality, they could come work with me and I could teach them how to freaking have it. Let's just call it a day. Like, that's that. Like, there we go. There's the, we've reached full circle, friends. But for real, like, if you wanted this, cool. You want to be able to do this? Come on, let's create it. Like, that's what we do. I had a client was like, I wish I could take Wednesdays off all day. And I'm like, girl, what do you think we're working towards right now? She just started working with me. And she was like, oh yeah, we'll get you there. Don't worry, we'll get you there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. Dan, I appreciate you also. Thank you for always supporting me. Like, I see you and I appreciate it. As always, thanks for being here. If you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. I can't pay for that type of thing. So it's like the least that I could ask of you. And if you think this message would be helpful for anyone else, please hit the share button and share it over to your audience as well. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Much love. Be kind. I'm such a dork. Oh my God.